What's going on, MSFers? Duelim here, back again with another video, and today we've got Cosmic Crucible Week 2 recap and Week 3 defense. That's right. As you can see here, I am going to end up going 2-1. I did beat Ruvar and the Gulag, even though he had like 9 people helping him. Still didn't work. Good on you guys. But that was pretty great. Got my revenge there. But for round 1, I went against Banana Archism or Banana Cursism, something like that. Stage 1, we used MOE with Dormammu against an extreme, a pretty big extreme as well. Dormammu is kind of an insurance policy here because I like having the extra revives, as well as I like having the trauma stun, the rebalance and health if he gets to turn 2. Honestly, Dormammu does a lot here, and I really like it. So it's just that insurance policy that's really nice to have. Room number 2, we used a good old tried and true counter. I'm just using Nova instead of Wolverine here because I have Wolverine on defense. Essentially, you just need to make sure someone comes in with no buffs, and that can be your 5th character. It really doesn't matter. Vulture, again, is the skirmisher to make sure you're getting that triple tap on the Super Scroll, and it works wonders. Room number 3, we did a Superior 6, no Vulture here, and it got kind of ugly because I got greedy and did not use my Spider Slayer ultimate on Black Knight. I used the Slayer special instead to make sure Peter B and Pav died before taking a turn. And honestly, I should have just used it on Black Knight to make sure he died. As you can see, my efficiency suffered here. But I did not need Vulture here, which was really interesting, honestly. Vulture has been kind of a staple in this team, and not needing it at all was really nice, honestly. Next up, we've got room 4. We use the Cabal Zemo Archangel comp. We used the Archangel because they had Hela over here, so I wanted to negate the Greg kill rewinds. So it's a net 0 because the Greg rewinds by 10%, but then Archangel rewinds by 10%. So it worked out well. Just doesn't rewind the Logan, but that's fine. Cabal absolutely works this team. It worked really well. Got a good crit from Zemo, and then Archangel goes pretty quick as well, so that worked well. Next up in room number 5, we did an Infinity Watch sack, and then we used SD with Dorm. Dorm literally died turn 1 to Green Goblin Classic Special and did absolutely nothing, so it was just SD here. If you're going to use an SD as a cleanup into a Lizard comp, you need to make sure Lizard takes his ultimate and his special, because if not, he's going to special into your Spider-Verse characters, put ability block on them, and he will get taunt, and you'll be stuck behind that taunt if your Ms. Marvel Hardlight does not strip it. So make sure your Infinity Watch or whoever you're sacking with is big enough to get through Lizard turn 1 and turn 2. A little cheat code you could do is maybe drop Phyla-Vell here, or drop Moonstone, and put in a Hero Spider-Verse character so Lizard gets 40% speed, so he takes his 2 turns way quicker. That's a great idea as well. And then room number 6, Tangled, Eternals, BTS going into an Infinity Watch Quicksilver. Super straightforward. We've seen that a bunch of times. As for defense, he tried to use MOE, full MOE against my Extreme with Bishop and no Nightcrawler, and it didn't do great, honestly, and efficiency suck in the biggest form, honestly, 8355. That Bishop dies quickly and then gives Forge Turn Meter, and if the Bishop doesn't die quickly and drops below 50%, that G1977 Rogue just absolutely taunts and just destroys their day. Also, with my placement, Bishop is next to Rogue, so if Bishop dies or anything like that, Rogue is going to be on an island, so no primary and adjacent damage, which absolutely shreds through this team. Gambit just gets to ping his life away. Forge gives all the buffs. Cyclops probably gets the ult. It's a great time. Also, make sure the 3 important characters here are Raiders as well, because they do clear the ability block on turn. Room number 2, we got New Warriors going into a Black Order Quicksilver. This room is getting demolished by pretty much anything, unfortunately. But there's not much better to use. Maybe I'll find it for week 3. You'll have to keep it on in the video to find out. Room number 4. Room number 4, he tried an APOC Tangled Rolk Cable comp, which works outside of room 4. Did not work here. So that combat canceled. Can't see what happened there. Then he tried to use just a plethora of people for a decent sack, taking out the pre-taunt, and then he came back in with Tangled, Dorm, APOC, BTS, which did end up working. Still a 57, so not the best, but a double combat cancel there. Room number 5, he tried to just flat mirror it on an 800k punch-up, and it did not work. Then he did a sack, and then a flat mirror with Illuminati. I did have Illuminati on defense for round 1, but I did not have them for rounds 2 or 3 because Scopely loves to make us use our tools on offense instead of letting us choose whether we want to use them on offense or defense. And you'll see that's a common theme coming with the next week as well. So room number 6, he used Cabal, Venom, and Emma, and it just shredded this. It's Cabal. It just shreds any Super Scroll. But round 1 was a win against Banana Archism. Round number 2 going against Gorilla. And if you guys remember from last week, this is the guy who is just an absolute kraken, 183 million TCP, I think. So room number 1, we tried to do an Infinity Watch sack here. Did not get through a lot of abilities, unfortunately. And then second fight, we did SD with Dorm, and it ended up failing because that APOC stayed alive, and I didn't have enough controlling for him. And then third fight, just crawled through it with a pre-taunt. Omega Red for percent damage. Vulture for the rewinds. Also, as a skirmisher, he's putting out ability blocks on there, so that was nice. Barely limped through this. This was rough. Room number 2, used a... Weaver, Cable, Emma, Rolk, APOC comp here. There's no pre-taunt here, so this absolutely deletes it. Literally used the Rolk special on Sus and VK. Got the rewind. Used the APOC punch. ISO attack kills. Good old Super Scroll. Even at 3 diamond, it did absolutely nothing. This team just fell over, as you see. Room number 3, we use New Warriors. He's got Eternals, Tangled, and Emma here, and New Warriors absolutely slaps this. New Warriors counters Eternals, and New Warriors is the direct counter to Tangled, so putting them together just meant instant New Warriors here. Room number 4, I opted for a double sack here because of how big this team is. I probably could have done a single sack and then come in and with my team and mirrored it, but I opted for the double sack just because of how big the team is, and it was still a 600k punch up, 680k punch up. Also, that 3 diamond Hank really, really scared me, and G19 on all of them except for Mr. Fantastic. So I think next time I'm going to try to risk it and single sack and then mirror it if I have to. But yeah, this guy had it on defense because I believe he forgot. He actually DM'd me and said he forgot. But yeah, this ended up working, which was really nice. I probably, once again, could have single sacked it. Room number 5, we tried, once again, Alpha Flight just crapping on my dreams. Room number 5, we tried BTS, Eternals, Kang, and Kestrel. And this team out-tanked this. All this damage. And the problem is because you lose all of your buffs in room 5. So I didn't have offense up on Kang. Didn't have offense up on Eternals. Kestrel, even with the pings, did not get through. Then I did a Darkhold Doom to take it out. This team is ridiculously good when they are this big. As you can see at 3.6 million, they're beefy. All 3 diamonds. They're very, very good. But yeah, I was able to get through it, which is good because I killed the Sasquatch on the first hit. And then room number 6, we had a double sacks, and then we did a Cabal, Titania, Zemo. And the reason why I did Titania here is because she gets turn meter based off of positive effects and went before pretty much everybody except for Nightcrawler, I believe. So she was able to get pretty much a guaranteed crit on somebody and put an ability block on Mephisto, which was really nice. And then Cabal just essentially rolled it from there. I could have done a New Warriors comp here, but honestly, New Warriors into Nightcrawler always sketches me out big time. So I opted to do the Cabal here, and then since New Warriors did so well in 3, I opted for that. But on defense, this man is an absolute animal and just throws things at the wall and sees what sticks. And it's hilarious for me. So he did an Undying Doom Dorm, which worked against me last time I faced him, and it did not work here. Room number 2, tried to do an Inferior 6 with Vulture and Swarm. Took out a couple more of them and then came in with an Underworld. I mean, you just see it's literally all 3 diamonds on his account here. Literally G19 Underworld. Like, who the hell does that? Room number 2, Pegasus, my Black Order. Quicksilver, a little bit less efficient than round 1, but still worked really well. Pegasus did it. Room 3, sacks it with a mirror and then comes in with Cabal. No villains with Cabal as well. I don't know, man. Just Quicksilver BTS. Good times. Room number 3 used a mirror. Full Mercs. Absolutely destroyed my Mercs team, which is fascinating to me. Dawkin got speed because of the Noir, so then Dawkin just went zoomies on my face. Got slow on everybody, got bleed on everybody, and they just went really, really fast. Room number 5 did a new Avengers sack against this team, took out the pre-taunt, and then came in with a nowhere just to take it out. And then room number 6 tried to full out of time this, did not work, and then came back in with an SD and wiped it out because the Super Scroll was gone. So I did drop 2 more fights than he did because he had the Mephisto advantage, so I had to sack 2 more rooms. But I'm getting close to Mephisto, so we might be good soon. Round number 3 going against Ruvar. That's right, part of the Gulag, so you know he had all the help in the world on his side. And could not get it done. So room number 1, we used Illuminati into Super Scroll, Hive Mind, Sus, and Illuminati absolutely bends this room over with no problems whatsoever. It's insane. Like, just ridiculously strong, and Captain Britain is the reason because he doesn't let Sus get turn meter. So this is a good option since we're forced to use them on offense. We can use them here, so you don't have to use Cabal here. Room number 2, we used the normal Tangled Kestrel, Iron Man Infinity War, Nova comp, ripped through this. Room number 3, MOE, North Star taking off the revives. I did have some unfortunate happenings here. Probably could have been able to stun the Forge instead of trying to stun the Nightcrawler, but I got greedy. And then Bishop ended up dying to a counter attack, so they got turn meter and problems kind of happened from there. Room number 4, Cabal, Vulture, Zemo. Vulture was able to hit the Zugs and the Old Man Logan. Old Man Logan got slow, got a crit off rip, and then Zemo passive also was another chance for a crit, and then Cabal just rolled it. Room number 5, I tried something because I wanted to. I literally wanted a backup for this in case I didn't have SD available for whatever reason, so I tried an Eternals, Dorm, Dakin, and Vol, and they out-healed me, honestly. The minion ended up dying to adjacent damage, unfortunately, so I didn't get the guaranteed double tap with Icarus. Losing all the buffs is a big problem. Came in with an SD CGR cleanup, worked well. I could have one-shot this with SD CGR, but my thought was I don't know where the minion's going to spawn with a taunt, so I didn't want to deal with any RNG, but I was able to get through it in a 2-tap, so it is what it is. And then room number 6, we've got APOC New Warriors taking out a Black Knight, Rogue Gambit, Cap for the blocks, and then also X-23. I did get pretty lucky where Gwen, as a skirmisher, did take off the taunt from Black Knight, and then I was able to focus who I wanted, and then APOC just cleaned up, which was really great. From there. So that worked really, really well for me, and that's going to be it for my week 3 recap. So let's get into my week 2 recap. So let's get into my week 3 defense. All right, room number 1, we are going to keep Superior 6 with Lizard here, and the reason why is because Illuminati without Captain Britain cannot beat this. And honestly, I think Illuminati, even with Captain Britain, might struggle a little against this because we got Green Goblin clearing the Raider clearing the ability block that Shuri puts out, so he's going to ult turn 1, and it immediately neuters the team without CB, so that's why I have this in here still. And as long as Scopely is going to force us to use Illuminati on offense, I'm going to keep them here in defense. And then honestly, the mirror matchup is not as bad as everybody thought it was going to be, so that's also pretty nice. So yeah, Superior 6, make sure Green Goblin Classic is a Raider in room number 1, and this does really, really good. All right, room number 2. I don't know if I'm going to run this for sure, but as of right now, this is what I think I'm going to keep because I don't have anything better to put in here. Honestly, I might just pull like Infinity Watch to put in here because Infinity Watch could at least soak up a little bit more efficiency. But I've really been liking Infinity Watch on offense as a good sack for Superior 6 because they last a very long time. I could also put in maybe like a Darkhold Quicksilver in here just to soak up a Tangled so they don't have Tangled elsewhere. That's definitely another option. But I am also very, very close to Mephisto, so I might be putting Mephisto in here to make this room way, way better, obviously. But I haven't really decided yet, but I think this is what most people are going to end up sticking with, and it's just a filler room right now until you get Mephisto, or we're able to use Illuminati on defense, and we can bolster the defense other places. But yeah, for right now, it's probably going to stick with Black Order, Quicksilver. All right, room number 3, and this room is one of my favorites because it's just a pain in the ass, honestly. Black Knight Spider Society is just a ridiculously hard room. it takes a superior 6 on offense to one-shot it, or it takes some really, really big characters like an APOC, BTS, Nova to get the quick stun, all that kind of stuff. It does not work. It's just a great defense, honestly. If you wanted to bolster Room 2 a little bit, you could put in Black Knight over like Cull Obsidian to try to bolster Room 2. But then Room 3 just gets wiped by SD CGR because my SD is nowhere near Kraken level status, so it doesn't turn into a scaling issue at all. So I know that's a good option for those who have really big Spider Societies. You can keep full Spider Society in here and then put Black Knight in room number 2, or put any random 5th here if you want to keep Noir somewhere else. But that's another option for you guys. But honestly, Spider Society is going to be farmable very, very soon. The blog on Friday said so. So once that happens, my Peter B is going to go to 3 diamond. Penny's going to 2 diamond. Pav is going to 2 diamond. And this team is going to be an absolute nuisance on defense. So I'm ready to go for that. But yeah, I'm going to keep this in room number 3. All right, room number 4. As you saw from the recap, this defense was an absolute just stonewall. This was sacked over and over and over again, unless there was a Old Man Logan that mirrored it, which that was something. But no one's going to have Old Man Logan on offense, so that's fine. We got the Pre-Taunt here to stop MOE coming in, just absolutely decimating this turn 1. Noir gets a bunch of speed meter and is able to special turn 1 in here. So when he specials and doesn't put any negative effects, he gets 50% turn meter. So we could take 2 turns in a row, giving Old Man Logan a bunch of turn meter as well. And if Cabal's in here, he won't get turn meter, but he'll get a bunch of energy from assisting. And then people were telling me that Noir could potentially get stunned by APOC if he hits into APOC. But Old Man Logan is stopping that charge from APOC, so even if he retaliates on him, it's not going to do anything. If you guys do have something different in room 2 and need a place for Quicksilver, Quicksilver will go here over Wolverine. Wolverine is surprisingly extremely good here, though, with all the bleeds feeding into Old Man Logan passive. So he gets 30% turn meter or 30% extra base speed if the enemy has bleed. And Noir puts a bunch of bleeds out there. Zugs can put a bunch of bleeds out there. Wolverine can. And then Nightcrawler obviously giving health to all the X-Men allies here. These 2 giving speed, giving dodges, all that good stuff. So Nightcrawler's a shoe in here. And yeah, just strikers on everybody except for Nightcrawler. I didn't care to change it. And then Old Man Logan just goes to town. I really, really like this room, but I still think Quicksilver is better than Wolverine if you are going to use Quicksilver here. All right, coming into my room number 5. This was what was in my room 1, but this in room 5 is ridiculously good because the teams that come into this really rely on having offense up and doing a lot of damage. But in room 5, they're getting their positive effects cleared on turn. So things like MOE do not have offense up. Things like New Warriors will not have offense up if you bring in Guardian, stuff like that. So it's definitely interesting. And obviously, I've got a 3 diamond Gambit from Kiln Tower. I've got a 7/7 G19 Rogue who might get a diamond after the performance she had last week on defense, honestly. And then Forge is 2 diamonds, so this team's really beefy. Bishop being here is very, very important because he's going to get hit turn 1 if somebody brings in MOE, and Titania is going to hit into him, and what's going to happen is Titania is either going to push him or kill him. If Titania only pushes him, then Rogue gets the reflexive taunt from dropping below 50% life. If Titania kills him, then Forge gets turn meter, they get to ult, they get a bunch of positive effects, and then the pings are going to hit way harder, and all that stuff happens, and then it brings the revive as well, which is pretty interesting. And then Rogue is on an island here, so once Rogue has that taunt, Safeguard, and Bishop is dead, she's just on an island, and primer and adjacent damage is just out the window, so Gambit hitting into with a special doesn't do anything, and having a very big Rogue does massive things for you here. Then she specials, gets all of that drain, gets the taunt and safeguard again, so still stuck on that taunt for a very long time. And then even with the Kang ult, it does not really take out Forge or Gambit because of how big my Forge and Gambit are, and then it just turns into big problems from here. I really, really like this defense in room number 5 because it lets me keep Superior 6 in 1. So this one is for sure staying here, and it doesn't even need a Nightcrawler to be really good. If you put Nightcrawler in here, it just gets even better. All right, room number 6, we're sticking with the same thing because this took either Cabal or it took a massive team that people either couldn't one-shot it with and had to two-shot it, or it was just a nuisance, honestly. Even if they did one-shot it without Cabal, it was still a big problem. So we've got the Hive Sus Squatch comp here. I know some people are trying to put Super Scroll here instead to bait out the APOC Rolk comp, because what happens is Rolk will special turn 1 on Sasquatch here, right? And then what happens is Super Scroll gets pushed a little bit lower, and then when APOC ults, Super Scroll gets pushed into past 50% and then gets stealth, so then APOC cannot punch him, which is quite an interesting concept. It's definitely a bait and it's a risk because you have to teeter-totter based on how strong their Rolk is and how strong your Super Scroll is. Personally, I don't think it's worth it. I like baiting Cabal here no matter what. I'd rather just bait Cabal and take the win no matter what. There are some options to this, which I will talk about in an upcoming video, probably coming out tomorrow on Sunday, because Illuminati absolutely slaps this room. But that's going to be my defense for week number 3, gents. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope I'm getting you guys some wins. But until next time, this has been Duelim. Later, MSFers.